Are you watering your plants like this? If you are, then unfortunately you could be unknowingly hurting them, and it's one of the biggest mistakes we see gardeners often make.
Now, we won't lie, this used to be us in our own garden, but after learning the hard way, we made some pretty important changes. So in this video, we're going to share some common watering mistakes that could be sending your plants on a one-way ticket to the compost heap, as well as some tips on how to water the right way.
Now, I used to water all my garden beds and containers from above, like this, wanting to recreate that natural rain experience for my plants. I mean, it feels like we're making a big difference, right? All that splashing all over the place makes it look like they're getting a really nice big drink, doesn't it? But in reality, doing this meant I was just wasting my time and water by just watering the leaves.
Leaves don't drink water, and wet leaves can invite nasty things like mould, mildew and disease. And this is particularly a problem with disease susceptible plants like these tomato plants here. It's best avoiding getting tomato leaves wet as much as possible. The thing to remember is that it's the roots that actually absorb the water, so target the base of the plant where the water is needed most. A common trap that lots of people fall into is just giving their plants a light sprinkle, when in fact they often need a lot more than this. A quick shower like this will only moisten the surface of the soil and the water will just evaporate really quickly. The next time you water your raised bed or container, just stick your finger in a couple of inches into the soil. If you're just giving a light sprinkle like so, then chances are it will still be dry beyond the top inch or so of soil. Instead, we should be drowning our plants. Not literally, of course, but a good drench will soak the ground thoroughly, encouraging your plants to grow deep, strong root systems, making them much more resilient to drought. And the best thing about this is that if you water them properly, you don't need to water them as often. About once a week in dry weather should do the trick. The conundrum we face though is to water deeply but not fall into the trap of overwatering our plants. For roots to be happy, they need oxygen just as much as water. And when the soil is constantly soaked, the roots can't breathe and will start to suffocate. Now, rather unhelpfully, the signs of overwatering and underwatering are pretty similar. Overwatered plants will look unwell. They might have yellowing, droopy leaves, or in the case of this acer here, browning tips of the leaves. And this is because their roots are stressed and possibly rotting. Have a little rummage in the soil and see how wet it is. It's always worth checking a couple of inches deep into the soil to check to see if it's moist before watering.
We've got a bunch of containers dotted around our garden, and the thing we notice is that they start to wilt much quicker than the rest of our garden. This is because containers have a lot less soil in a pot and greater exposure to the elements, so will dry out much quicker than your beds. Containers also have excellent drainage, or they should have anyway, which is great for plant health, but also means that water quickly escapes, leaving the roots thirsty if we don't pay them enough attention. Their smaller root space means they can't access deep reserves of moisture, so they rely entirely on our regular watering to stay hydrated. In hot weather, like we're having in the UK right now, you'll probably find that you need to water your containers daily.
Now, you might have noticed this tool that we've been using to water our plants so far in this video. And let me tell you that this is a game changer when it comes to watering. So we used to use a spray gun like this attached to the hose so that we can control the flow of water when watering our plants. But this thing is next level. This magic wand is an attachment for your garden hose designed to extend your reach when watering your garden. It's been a game changer for my back, let me tell you. Not only does it save you time and effort helping you to reach hanging baskets and at the back of wide borders, it's also super easy to direct water right at the soil so that you waste less water.
We recently revamped this bed that sits in the middle of our patio. It was full of weeds, so we got rid of them and planted some new perennials. The thing lots of gardeners fail to do when putting in new plants is watering them in properly. So what is watering in? Watering in simply means watering immediately after planting to help the roots make direct contact with the soil. This displaces any air gaps lurking in the soil and makes sure the plant gets off to the best start. And this doesn't mean just giving it a little bit of water. This means saturating the root ball. We're talking about half a watering can's worth. After that, it's important to water daily or every other day for the first week or two, depending on your weather and soil type. Again, this helps the roots find their way in their new home and ensures that your plant doesn't suffer. Then they can fit into your normal watering routine.
Have you ever taken a stroll around your garden just after lunch and then noticed that some of your plants are starting to wilt from the warm weather? Your plants might look like they need a refreshing drink at lunchtime, but at the hottest point in the day, most of the water will just evaporate before it even reaches the roots. So put down your hose and get yourself a nice cold drink instead.
So when is the best time to water? Well, when you water during the coolest parts of the day, less moisture evaporates and your plants will get the long drink they deserve. Your plants actually use water more effectively in the cooler parts of the day, as cooler temperatures and less sunlight slow down evaporation and transpiration. Transpiration is just the process where water exits through the plant's leaves. This means that more of the water we've applied to the soil will actually be absorbed by the roots, which in turn helps the plant to take up nutrients from the soil. This is much better than watering during the hottest part of the day. We recommend morning watering because the foliage and the ground surface will dry out throughout the day and stay dry for longer, discouraging nasty slugs, snails and mildew. It also means your plants will be properly hydrated during the heat of the day and not sweating and waiting to see if you'll remember to give them a drink in the evening. Of course, the evening is fine, and to be honest, we are not early risers and often water in the evening.
Another mistake we often see gardeners make is watering all plants the same, and oftentimes this just will not work. Let's take this hydrangea for example. Now, the clue is kind of in the name. This moisture-loving plant and other less drought-tolerant plants like astilbe or hostas crave more water. This hydrangea is in a full sun spot here, and we're having to water every other day at least, otherwise the leaves and flowers start to wilt. Other plants will better tolerate dry conditions and won't need as much water. So Mediterranean plants like lavender, nepeta and rosemary, once established, will enjoy basking in the sun and won't enjoy having wet soil all the time. So our top tip is to keep hold of those cards that come with the plant when you buy it, so that you know what your plants prefer.
We were lucky enough to inherit this water butt when we moved into this house. We didn't have a water butt in our last garden, but we couldn't do without it now. Our water butt collects water from the greenhouse gutter, giving us water on tap. The beauty of this is that it saves us having to drag the hose out every time we need to give our raised beds a drink. Plus, it stops rainwater from going to waste, which is great.
One of the absolute biggest mistakes that we see and that we're actually making ourselves right now is not mulching beds. This thriving bed of potatoes could do with a layer of compost or straw on top of the soil to lock in moisture for those roots. But that's not the only thing that mulch is great for. It has one key benefit that will make your life 10 times easier in the garden. And we spill the beans in this video here, so definitely make sure you watch it next, and we'll see you there.